Ever consider moving to Israel?
No.
Why?
Well, I noticed that I still felt like that there was, even in Israel, even in the place where it began with black people, that it's still racism has now filtered into the perspectives of people who live there. I can tell you consistently, there were a lot of people there from America, even who were there for what's called a birthright, where you're allowed to visit Israel for free and experience what it's like being in the land of the beginning. But it's only up to like age 26. And they would be there and they would look at us and not have a clue if we were Jewish or not. They would think we were just tourists.
Okay.
So you can tell that race was a factor in people's perspective of how we moved around the country. And
you ever consider moving to Israel?
no.
Why?
Well, I noticed that I still felt like that there was, even in Israel, even in the place where it began with black people, that it's still racism has now filtered into the perspectives of people who live there. I can tell you consistently, there were a lot of people there from America, even who were there for what's called a birthright, where you're allowed to visit Israel for free and experience what it's like being in the land of the beginning. But it's only up to like age 26. And they would be there and they would look at us and not have a clue if we were Jewish or not. They would think we were just tourists.
Okay.
So you can tell that race was a factor in people's perspective of how we moved around the country. And
כל הסודנים יצאו, כולם נכנסים למקלטים, כל הסודנים יצאו. ומה הולך בשכונת התקווה, ברחוב הרצל? בשכונת התקווה על הראש, אין לנו מקום אחר. פה מסוכן, אם יהיה משהו... איפה נעמוד? לא יודע, על הראש צריך לעמוד. בשכונת התקווה על הראש, אין לנו מקום אחר.
Скоро сирена с рана, и мы пошли в соседний дом в бомбоубежище, где нас не впустили, они закрыли двери, закрыли парковку. Мы стучали в дверь, они вышли, сказали, мы не обязаны вас пускать, и сказали, у нас нету места.
בגלל נפילות, יש מטח כבד והוא מנע מאיתנו להיכנס למרחב מוגן.
There are hundreds of thousands of Arab Palestinians who are not defended at all by any of the Israeli defending systems, like more than 150,000 of the Bedouin community who lives in the Naqab desert. Israel do not see that its duty is to defend these citizens.
I came here for a visit in 1995. I really enjoyed the love, the spirit of oneness that was here in our community in Israel. Coming from America, I just knew that this was the place that I wanted to have children and raise my children.
In 1998, Tovit picked up her entire life in America and moved to Dimona, a small town in southern Israel. Now she's lived here for over 2 decades, has had all of her 8 children here, but soon they may all be forced to leave.
April, I received a letter of deportation with my name on it, as well as all of my children's names. At that time, we were given 60 days, and we were told we would be deported from the land of Israel.
Tovit and her family are some of 51 Black Hebrew Israelites slapped with deportation orders in April. Now, they're fighting to stay in Israel. Black Hebrew Israelites are a community of Black Americans who believe that the West Africans brought over to the Americas during the transatlantic slave trade had belonged to one of the lost tribes of Israel, and that their mission is to one day return to the land they say they were expelled from.
We wanted to find out where our roots lie, and our roots lie here. And our ancestral homeland we consider to be here, literally here in southern Judea. So that's how we identify as Jewish, because we're Judeans. We live here, and we say that that's our tribal affiliation.
Around the early 1970s, Black Hebrew Israelites began trickling into Israel on tourist visas, where they established an urban kibbutz known as the Village of Peace in Dimona. Neither Israel nor any of the state's religious bodies recognize Black Hebrew Israelites as Jewish, disqualifying them from citizenship under the law of return. Agreements have been reached over time, allowing members of the community to gain long-term resident status in return for children serving in the IDF. Now, the Dimona community is thriving 3,000 members strong, but not everyone is reaping the benefits.
We really had wanted to get some resolution on their cases, but we never were able to get the cooperation because different governments came in and it was such a hot potato, nobody wanted to deal with it, so they kicked it up the road. And so when...
Let me just go ahead and get into this lesson. I got one more video. A brother from the KC camp, this woman in Russia was abused by a couple. So let me go ahead and play the next slide. I'm not trying to make this here super duper long. So let me go to this brother page and put that up. Well, matter of fact, I think I can pull it up here. I think it's like one of the first one. I think I saw it. Because a lot of our people, you know, especially, you know, our women, because our women love to travel, our women love to, you know, want to go places. Listen, these curses are among us. And a lot of our people, men and women, just like Ricky Smiley, you know, because he's not smiling anymore. He's afraid. He told you in his video, I'm afraid. I am afraid. And 2/3 are going to be afraid because they don't have that protection. They don't have this understanding, you know. So that's why he is afraid. You know, we have that understanding. We have, you know, we have the name of Yahweh Bashim Awashai, and we know our protection. We know that Yahweh Bashim Awashai, he's going to intervene. We just have to keep the faith. Let me see, can I pull it up? If not, I might have to go to the brother page. Yeah, this is right here. It says, black woman who left us for Russia to escape discrimination. You're not going to get past these curses. It doesn't matter where you go on the globe. You're going to get harassed. You're going to get alienated. You know, you're going to get treated unfair. That's just what it is. You know. Because Esau had that perpetual hatred. Ezekiel 35:5. But these curses are going to turn back on him. Deuteronomy 30:7. Let the Lord be your vengeance. You know, there's Romans chapter 12. You can read, I think it's at the bottom somewhere. I can't remember what chapter, what verse. You know. So a lot of our people, they are taking a blank trip. Listen, you're leaving one hell going to another hell. You're not going to escape these curses, but check this out. And fair use, fair use.
Have you heard? Reading glasses are outdated. A new technology for the elderly. Nothingness is here. From
A black woman who moved from the U.S. to Russia to escape discrimination and racism revealed on social media that the entire plan backfired on her in a disturbing way. Francine Villa was born in Russia but moved to the U.S. with her family when she was a kid. In a heartbreaking video, Francine claims that both she and her baby were brutally attacked by racist neighbors in Moscow. She detailed the alleged assault on Instagram. Now, the fact that the attack occurred in her homeland is an extra painful blow. Villa had previously spoken about her move in the 2020 documentary Back in the USSR, which aired on the Russian state media channel RT. Villa said that her great-grandfather George Tynes, who hails from Virginia, worked as an agriculturalist after moving to the Soviet Union in the 1930s. Now, much of her family still lives there, but at a young age, she moved with her mother to the United States. It was there that she spent most of her life until experiencing what she described as a traumatizing experience with police. Villa explained in the documentary that she'd approached officers for help during an emergency, but that they turned on her instead, throwing her to the ground. It was then that she decided it was time to leave. It was back in 2019. Here is how she explained it. Quote, "Why did I make up my mind to move to Russia? I wanted to leave a country where I was facing discrimination. After a year living in Moscow, she told RT, quote, I feel free living in Russia because in Russia, no matter what time it is, I can walk outside and I'm safe." 5 years later, that proved to be a fantasy. Following the alleged attack, Villa took to Instagram with blood still on her face, saying a couple in her apartment building beat her with fists while she was with her 2-year-old and yelled racial slurs at her in Russian. In edited footage shared by Villa of the incident, the couple can be seen arguing with her in the hallway of her building, threatening to throw out her belongings while she was seemingly blocked from entering her own apartment.
Вы в России давно живете? А у вас прописка есть здесь? Дай мне войти в мою квартиру. Прописка есть? Почему вы ко мне на «ты»? Я не могу выйти и входить в свою квартиру. Напугает моего ребенка. Кого? Он пуганный, плачет, бедняжка. Да, зайка, ты плачешь, да? Плачешь, зайка.
Now, she accuses her neighbors of changing the locks, cutting off the electricity, and even tossing her baby's stroller down the stairs. She also claims her child was left with bruises following the incident. In footage taken from a hospital, Villa can be seen weeping in distress in the aftermath of this alleged attack. She says she's filed complaints to the police, but claims they aren't helping or responding.
Now, my question is to that is this here. Where was the child's father at? That's what I want to know. Where was the child's father at? Especially if it was any abuses, there was abuses on his son. I guarantee you, if she had a man in the house, cause that doggone little wimp-looking Russian man I guarantee he wouldn't did none of that if she had somebody with her. See, she was born over here in America and went over to Russia, and listen, our women are going to be the same everywhere we go, because Esau, he rules the whole world, and Esau give our women the right to be haughty, the right to be on your own, the right to be not to be submissive to your husband. He can't tell you what to do. And she raising a child by herself. I don't know the situation there. You do have idiots. You do have sorry men that get the woman pregnant and don't want to be in the woman in the child life. So that can be 50-50 on that right there. But over here in the States, women choose to throw away their husband for benefits, or a man decide he want to get with another woman, then she leaves, knowing in the Bible a man can have multiple women, but they don't want to hear that. So that's on her. But anyway, we have been scattered all over the world. We have been hated by damn near every damn nation. Let's go prove that right quick. Let's go get out of here. We're gonna go here just to prove that. First Maccabees chapter 2 and 10 said, what nation had not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoil? So, you have a lot of our people go over to other countries, Russia, Israel, the Philippines, they go everywhere. And the deal is, you are among the heathen. You cannot, just because Esau giving you a rough time here in America, them heathen, they don't like you neither. A lot of people leave this country because they see the downfall and they see the trouble. If they can maneuver around the Northern Kingdom, so-called Hispanic and Puerto Rican, and now the Haitian, we know that we next. And the fear is in us now, just like Ricky Smiley and other people like him. They wanna jet out. They wanna leave. You cannot escape these curses. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28. We're gonna start we start at 1, and it states. Stop the way. Give me 1 second. Out here walking this dog so that he won't mess in my house. Says, it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth, right? So we keep the laws and commandments the way we agreed, follow, having Moses, our leader, our king during that time over the children of Israel, to keep the laws and commandments, right? Verse 2, and all these blessings, Salakia, let this dump truck get by. Verse 2, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power. Blessed shall be in the city, blessed shall thou be in the field. So if we kept the laws and commandments, man, just like you see white folk, so-called white folk, living in that neighborhood, you see how beautified that neighborhood is. The yard is manicured, no trash on the ground. They living the so-called American dream. But now their dream is falling. But, if you living in the time of the 70s and 80s and 90s and 2000s, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of these neighborhoods was, very rich looking. Top of the line. And, they had their own police, their own ambulance, especially the so-called small hatters. They had their own hospital, ambulance, and their own police force in their neighborhood. And, but anyway, compared to ours, look at ours compared to theirs. So, they were living fat. They were living beautifully, while we in a, slum wondering when we're going to get our next meal, or if we're going to get that next meal. We, scraping and stripping, not stripping, but, trying to, get $1 to bring, just to bring some bread home, But anyway, because we under the curses, but if we kept the laws and commandments the way the Heavenly Father wanted us to keep it, we would have been blessed, even greater than them, right? So, in the city and in the field, you go out in the country, you see those big mansions and all that land, and you see a man-made pond, and he probably have fish in there, and he got chicken in the back, and, he got his tractors, he got some farmland. That's what you call, and then you have people working for you, you blessed. Esau got that right now. But it's slowly dwindling. It's slowly leaving his hand. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of the ground, the fruit of the cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flock of thy sheep. So, you know, you're going to be blessed. If you had livestock, you're going to be overwhelmingly blessed. Children, they're not going to come out with any type of health issue, you know, retardation and you know, other sickly diseases that babies get coming out the womb. Your baby will come out lively, you know, meaning that you know, the baby come out screaming and hollering and you know, just always moving, you know, non-stop, you know, and then about a month or two, or about 3-4 months, you know, instead of them crawling, now they walking. You know, I'm just saying, you know, blessed shall be thy basket and thy store, their store. You know, we're gonna have more, you know, we're gonna have abundance of food. We'll be able to have, you know, stuff, you know, set back and, you know, for a rainy day. You know, we're gonna be like, you know, we're gonna be blessed everywhere. Every aspect of our life, we were gonna be totally blessed if we had kept the laws and commandments, right? Blessed shall thou be when thou goest in, and blessed shall thou be when thou goest out. So, you know, we're going to, like I said, when you're born in this world, you're going to be blessed with everything. And when you leave out, you're going to be blessed with everything. You know, when you're born, your family is going to have everything in abundance. You ain't going to want for nothing. And then when you leave out of here, you got all your family members, you know, next to you, on your, you know, by your side, and they wishing you a farewell. You know, you're going back to the heavenly spirit. You know, you ain't gonna have issue with how you're gonna raise money to bury our father, our mother, you know, your brother, your sister, your kid. No, you're gonna have all of that already set and paid for from the beginning. You know, but now, you know, since we didn't keep those laws and commandments, we didn't honor Yahweh B'Shem Al-Shai, you know, we did what we wanted to do. We wanted to be wicked in all ways, right? So it says here, Deuteronomy 28 and 15, and it states, it shall be, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So that's why Vicky Smiley, that's why, you know, the woman on the video, the so-called black woman that left America, and for what reason, you know, her parents, you know, went over there for, you know, I guess to get away from the discrimination, I guess in the 60s and 70s, because she looked like she ought to be, you know, probably in her early 40s maybe, or late 30s or whatever, and her parents might have, you know, left out of here in, you know, maybe the 80s or something like that, you know, 80s or 70s or whatever. And, you know, these curses is going to follow you. You know, even like the parents, when she left America going to Russia, the parents was leaving America because of discrimination, you know, and the churches followed them, and also follow their grown daughter now, you know. So you cannot escape this curse. Only way we're going to get this curse off us is when Yahweh shall come, and that's it. When he come and deliver his elect and the new kingdom, the curse is off of us. We get those new bodies, you know, before, you know, while we heading up into the chariots, it's a wrap. It's a wrap, you know. And, you know, like you got not just these women going overseas and thinking that it's going to be better on the other side. You got passport brothers that's going over there dealing with women and stuff like that, which, you know, you know, that's their business, you know, and they have the choice to do that, you know. But these curses is going to follow you. Don't be surprised if you're dealing with a heathen woman and she know that you got money and she set you up, have you in jail, accuse you of rape. So you fellas, it's no different from you. You better be careful. But a woman should not be gathered abroad by herself, going to places by herself. She the weaker vessel. She can get overpowered. A man, he can better handle it a whole lot better than a woman when he go overseas. He can handle it a whole lot better. When a woman go overseas, she gonna need her husband or her brother, her father, somebody, you know. But a lot of these women, you know, they do it because it's a it's like what's the word I'm trying to get? It's to show off. You know, that's pretty much what it is. I can do this, and then when they get a man, in the first argument they get, well, I don't need your money. I can listen. I did this and I did that. And I got enough money to go to China. I got enough money to do this. Got enough money to do that on my own. I don't need you. You know, it's almost like it's a jab that she throwing out at the man just because, you know, things get tight around the house and you know, bills and stuff like that. And then, you know, she get frustrated and say, I don't know why I'm here. I can do better by myself. I went on trips and I never had a struggle, you know. But yeah, these women, you know, hey, and you men, the curses are not over. It's still there. But if you're not in the truth, you're going to face this. If you're not part of the elect, and I hope and pray that I am part of the elect, you know, that that I don't have to face none of this here, because the Heavenly Father, you know, He protect His people. You know, tell you in Proverbs 16:7 that a man that pleases the ways of Yahweh, He will make his enemy show you favor. See, you know, the Heavenly Father didn't give this woman and the other woman with the I think 4 children or 5 children, whatever. You know, He didn't show them favor. And also the first video that I played, you know, she the very first lady experienced racism, you know, and she didn't like it. I think she's back in the States. So the Heavenly Father didn't show neither one of these women, and also those people in that, like I said, those people in that video showing that man that was there since the 70s or whatever. I think that's the same video with the woman with the 5 kids. But did nobody? They wasn't shown favor, because if they were shown favor, that woman and her 5 kids wouldn't be going through deportation right now, you know, and this woman here wouldn't got her ass whooped by a couple, and the first lady, she wouldn't experience that racism as she experienced over here in America, because that's the reason why she left. She wanted to get away from racism, you know. Also, the woman with the 5 kids, racism. The woman that got her ass whooped, racism. And those are part of the curses. And we're not going to, again, I know I'm sounding like a broken radio, a record player, you're not going to get away until Yahweh B'Shem Shai come and rescue us. That's what we're waiting for. We want to be redeemed. Right? So, I'm going to end it right there. Hopefully, this was edifying. See you on the next video. Shalom.